My dear friends, if you are satisfied with this tutorial, please help me to develop this channel, so please press the like or dislike button. It is highly important to me. Thank you. Thank you very much for your support. Let's start the lesson. Simple present tense. Used for habitual actions, general truths, and scheduled events. Examples: I brush my teeth every morning. Habitual action. The Earth orbits the Sun, general truth. The school bus arrives at 7:30 a.m. every day. Scheduled event. She reads a book before bedtime. Habitual action. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. General truth. The train departs at 3:45 p.m. Scheduled event. They play tennis every Saturday. Habitual action. The sun rises in the east. General truth. The conference starts at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Scheduled event. He practices the piano for an hour each evening. Habitual action. Present continuous tense. Used for actions happening at the moment or in the near future. Examples: actions happening at the moment. I am currently writing an email. She is talking to her friend on the phone right now. They are playing soccer in the park. The chef is preparing a delicious meal in the kitchen. It's raining outside, so I am staying indoors. Actions in the near future. I am meeting with my colleague for lunch later today. We are watching a movie at the cinema tonight. He is giving a presentation at the conference tomorrow. They are flying to Paris next week for a vacation. She is starting her new job on Monday. Present perfect tense. Used to describe actions that happened at an unspecified time in the past but have relevance to the present. Examples: I have visited that museum before. The action of visiting happened at an unspecified time in the past, and the fact that I visited is relevant to the present. She has already eaten lunch. The action of eating lunch occurred at an unspecified time earlier today, and it affects her current state of not being hungry. They have lived in this city for 5 years. The action of moving to the city happened in the past, and they continue to live there now. He has never traveled abroad. The absence of travel experience up to the present is relevant to the current conversation. We have completed the project. The action of completing the project occurred at some point before now, and it is relevant to our current status. She has lost her keys. The action of losing the keys occurred at an unspecified time in the past, and she cannot find them in the present. They have already seen that movie. The action of seeing the movie happened at an unspecified time prior to now. I have read that book. The action of reading the book occurred at an unspecified time, and I possess the knowledge from the book. The company has recently hired new employees. The hiring took place at an unspecified time in the past, and it has an impact on the current workforce. He has studied English for many years. The action of studying English started in the past and continues up to the present. Present perfect continuous tense. Used to describe an action that started in the past and continues into the present, emphasizing its duration or ongoing nature. Examples: She has been studying English for 5 years. They have been working on the project since last Monday. I have been living in this city since 2010. He has been playing the guitar for over an hour. We have been waiting at the airport for 2 hours. She has been practicing yoga regularly for better flexibility. They have been renovating their house for several months. I have been gardening in my backyard all morning. He has been cooking dinner since he got home from work. We have been discussing the issue for quite some time now. Simple past tense. Used for actions that happened at a specific time in the past. Examples: She graduated from college last year. They traveled to Paris during their summer vacation. He bought a new car 2 weeks ago. I visited my grandparents yesterday. The concert started at 7 p.m. last night. She finished reading the book in just 2 days. They arrived at the airport on time for their flight. He cooked dinner for his family last Sunday. The movie ended late, so they missed the last bus. She received a promotion at work last month. Past continuous tense. Used to describe actions that were ongoing in the past. Example: I was studying when the phone rang. Ongoing action interrupted by another action in the past. They were watching TV when the power went out. Ongoing action interrupted by an event in the past. She was reading a book at the library yesterday. Description of an ongoing action in the past. While I was cooking dinner, the kids were playing in the garden. 2 ongoing actions happening simultaneously in the past. He was working late last night. Description of an ongoing action in the past. They were chatting on the phone for hours. Description of an extended action in the past. It was raining heavily when we were driving home. Description of weather conditions during an ongoing action in the past. I was running a marathon at this time last year. Description of an ongoing action at a specific point in the past. The teacher was explaining the lesson when the fire alarm went off. Ongoing action interrupted by an event in the past. She was practicing the piano all evening. Description of an extended action in the past. Past perfect tense. Used to show that one action in the past occurred before another action in the past. Examples: By the time I arrived at the party, they had already eaten all the cake. He had finished his homework before he went out to play with his friends. She realized she had left her phone at home when she got to the office. The movie had already started when they got to the cinema, so they missed the beginning. They had cleaned the house before their guests arrived for dinner. By the time he woke up, his family had already gone on the hiking trip. She had read the book before watching the film adaptation. I had never been to that restaurant before last night. Before I moved to the city, I had lived in a small town for many years. They had known each other for a long time before they started dating. Past perfect continuous tense. Used to describe an ongoing action that started in the past and continued up to a certain point or until another action in the past. Examples: she had been dancing for hours before her feet started hurting. By the time we arrived, they had been waiting for over an hour. He had been studying all night when he finally understood the concept. They had been hiking for 3 days when they reached the summit. I had been working at that company for 10 years before I resigned. She had been practicing the piano for years before she gave her first concert. By the time I woke up, they had been chatting for hours. We had been driving for days when we reached our destination. He had been fishing all morning when he finally caught a big one. She had been reading the book for weeks before she finished it. Simple future tense. Used for actions that will happen in the future. Example: I will go to the store tomorrow. They will arrive at the airport at 3 p.m. She will start her new job next month. He will call you as soon as he gets home. We will have dinner at our favorite restaurant tonight. The conference will take place in Paris next year. They will visit their grandparents over the weekend. She will graduate from college in the spring. I will finish reading this book by the end of the week. He will take a vacation in the summer. Future continuous tense. Used to describe actions that will be ongoing in the future. Examples: I will be studying all evening for my final exams tomorrow. They will be traveling to Europe during the summer holidays. She will be working late at the office next week. At this time tomorrow, I will be relaxing on the beach. He will be giving a presentation at the conference all morning. They will be celebrating their anniversary with a fancy dinner. By 8 p.m. tonight, I will be watching a movie with friends. She will be cooking dinner when you come over for a visit. We will be hiking in the mountains this time next year. While you're at work, I will be cleaning the house. Future perfect tense. Used to indicate that one action will be completed before another action in the future. Examples: by the time you arrive, I will have finished my work. She will have graduated from college before she starts her new job. They will have prepared dinner by the time I get home. He will have read all the books in the series by the end of the month. I will have completed the entire project before the deadline. By the time the movie begins, we will have bought our tickets. She will have visited 5 countries before she turns 30. They will have finished building the new house by next summer. I will have learned how to play the guitar by the time we meet again. By the time the guests arrive, we will have decorated the entire party venue. Future perfect continuous tense. Used to describe an ongoing action that will start in the future and continue up to a certain point in the future. Examples: by this time next year, she will have been working at the company for a decade. In 2 months, I will have been living in this city for 5 years. By the time you arrive, I will have been waiting for an hour. They will have been traveling for a month when they reach their final destination. In a week, he will have been studying for the exam for 3 months. By the end of the summer, we will have been gardening for the entire season. In 2 years, she will have been practicing the violin for a decade. By next month, he will have been running marathons for 5 years. In a few weeks, they will have been renovating their house for a year. By this time tomorrow, I will have been working on this project for a week. Conditionals. Zero conditional. Used to express general truths and facts. Examples: if you heat water to 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. If the sun sets, it gets dark. If you mix red and blue, you get purple. If you drop a stone, it falls to the ground. If you touch fire, it burns. If you add 1 and 1, you get 2. If you don't water plants, they die. If you don't eat, you get hungry. If it rains, the ground gets wet. If you turn off the lights, the room becomes dark. First conditional. Used to talk about real possibilities in the future. Examples: if it rains tomorrow, we will stay indoors. If she studies hard, she will pass the exam. If they miss the train, they will be late for the meeting. If I don't set an alarm, I will oversleep. If you eat too much junk food, you will gain weight. If he arrives early, we can have a longer conversation. If the store is open, I will buy some groceries. If she calls me, I will answer the phone. If you finish your work on time, you can join us for the movie. If the weather is nice, we will have a picnic in the park. Second conditional. Used to talk about unreal or hypothetical situations in the present or future. Examples: if I won the lottery, I would buy a mansion. If she were a bird, she could fly anywhere she wanted. If they had more time, they would travel the world. If he had a magic wand, he would make all his problems disappear. If it rained tomorrow, we would cancel the outdoor picnic. If I were you, I would take that job offer. If she knew Spanish, she could communicate with her relatives better. If I had $1 million, I would donate a portion to charity. If they won the championship, they would celebrate all night. If he were taller, he could reach the top shelf. Third conditional. Used to talk about unreal or hypothetical situations in the past. Examples: if she had studied harder, she would have passed the exam. If I had known you were coming, I would have baked a cake. If they had left earlier, they wouldn't have missed the train. If he had saved his money, he could have bought a new car. If it hadn't rained, we would have gone to the beach. If she had seen the warning signs, she wouldn't have invested in that company. If they had called for help sooner, the firefighters could have saved the building. If I had taken that job offer, I would have moved to a different city. If he had studied abroad, he might have become fluent in another language. If they had apologized, the argument wouldn't have escalated. Mixed conditional. Combines elements of the second and third conditionals. Examples: if he had taken that job offer last year, he would be earning a higher salary now. If she had learned to swim as a child, she wouldn't be afraid of water today. If they hadn't missed their flight last week, they would be on vacation right now. If I had invested in technology stocks years ago, I'd be a millionaire today. If he had studied harder in school, he would have a better job today. If she hadn't broken her leg, she would be participating in the marathon tomorrow. If they had purchased that house a decade ago, it would be worth a fortune now. If I had met him earlier in life, we would be best friends by now. If she had joined the company when it was a startup, she would have more stock options today. If they had chosen a different path, their lives would be completely different now. Conditional perfect. Used to describe a hypothetical result in the past based on a hypothetical condition. Examples: if she had won the lottery, she would have traveled the world. If they had passed the audition, they would have performed on stage. If he had taken the earlier flight, he would have arrived on time. If I had known about the party, I would have brought a gift. If we had attended the conference, we would have learned a lot. If they had studied more, they would have aced the exam. If she had applied for the scholarship, she would have received financial aid. If he had fixed the leaky roof, the house wouldn't have flooded. If they had invested in that startup, they would have made a fortune. If I had called in sick, I would have avoided getting the flu. Zero conditional, type 2. Used to express real, present facts and habitual actions. Examples: if you heat ice, it melts. If it rains, the ground gets wet. If the temperature drops below freezing, water turns into ice. If you mix red and blue, you get purple. If you touch a flame, it burns. If you add sugar to tea, it becomes sweet. If the power goes out, the lights turn off. If you don't water plants, they die. If you don't eat, you get hungry. If the sun sets, it gets dark. My dear friends, if you are satisfied with this tutorial, please help me to develop this channel, so please press the like or dislike button. It is highly important to me. Thank you. Thank you very much for your support.